Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Webtoon and some poor choices in advertising that made Twitter angry, made a lot of wannabe cartoonists on Twitter angry, made professionals angry.
To be fair, though, a lot of webcomic people get really pissed and salty about things. We'll talk about that.
We're going to talk about this because we actually started in the webcomic scene, 2007, 2008, something like that.
Yeah.
And, we've been around the scene for a while, and there are some good people in the webcomic scene, and there are also a lot of people that like to complain about everything.
There are a lot of people who think that their stuff is worth a lot more than it is, and they get really pissed when they think that there might be any chance that something might get taken from them, even when their stuff isn't worth taking.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about this this marketing and the backlash, and how Twitter's feelings were hurt. And, I think it was kind of lame marketing, personally.
It was pretty bad. I can't believe that got through.
It was pretty bad, but I think they're trying to make fun of the fact that people do look down their noses on comics.
But they were okay. But here's the kicker: they weren't there. Okay, now it's more accepted. But when webcomics were a thing back when we were doing it, literally the pros would look down their nose.
Yes.
At the webcomic artists.
Yes.
And Webtoons themselves has no reason doing any of that comments because they got their whole damn platform built on the backs of people who put their webcomics on it, used their own money to advertise those comics and everything else. Well, it was basically they wanted to promote their Korean ones.
Yeah.
And then they made deals with Marvel people, but it was the masses of people that used Webtoon that put it where it's at.
Yeah, now we see, DC Comics and Marvel Comics and Archie Comics bringing their stuff to Webtoon now because it's a massive platform. What creators are getting paid is beyond me. I don't know the details now, but they were for a while. They were, paying creators to put their stuff on there first or exclusively. But so Twitter basically got mad that Webtoon doesn't even take comics all that seriously, and I'm sure it's the ad agency they're working with because they take it very seriously. Webtoon is trying to get a lot of series developed. They're trying to do Hollywood deals. They've been. So let's just talk about the oversensitivity of comic book artists.
And the stupidity of this ad.
And the stupidity of this ad, because I actually can see both sides of
yes,
this
because
one.
we've been here, both sides.
All right, so before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 270,000 subs.
Woo!
Thank you for the support. We do talk about comics culture, webcomics. We talk about webcomics more than a lot of people talk about webcomics, because webcomics basically got killed off by Webtoon. Webtoon and Tapas came in, and they had their
Hiveworks.
And then Hiveworks.
That's a whole other story.
Hiveworks is, I believe they were sort of the horsemen of the apocalypse that sort of led the way for this. They centralized everything, which made it
not just that bad behavior around it, but that's a whole other story.
We'll talk later about that. But the thing is, Webtoon and Tapas came in, and webcomics were already a thing. A lot of what you see right now in comics, everybody's trying to herald as being like really groundbreaking, like, oh, crowdfunding and oh, Patreon and oh boy, you can tip jar and all stuff. A lot of that came from webcomics.
They've actually said that, Patreon got the idea from webcomics.
Yes, got it from webcomics, and it was a successful business model for a lot of people for a lot of years. I mean, not everybody. I mean, there were tens of thousands of webcomics. Now, those tens of thousands of webcomics, you had a handful of people that were doing it full-time or mostly full-time. We were actually some of those people, but we had to pair it up with a shit ton of shows, and it was very, very hard.
People wouldn't be mad when you didn't get their free on time.
People got mad, and that's actually what broke me personally, was people constantly demanding free content.
Right.
Constantly.
And it was like you had to always have a schedule and you needed a buffer and all this other shit. And it was a lot.
It's a grind. It's a lot of work.
But what it was then, it's 100 times worse now. Because where it might have been 10,000 webcomics then, you're talking like 1 million now. And a lot of people use Webtoons. And that's fine. Actually, we recommend people, if they're doing a new webcomic, and they want an audience that's pre-built in, go to Webtoon. It doesn't guarantee you'll get an audience, but you'll have a better chance of finding one. So we tell people that. So Webtoon's not all bad.
Right. So this, and I did see something about, I didn't know it was going to lead to backlash like this, but The Beat had a couple of days ago that they were going to do Subway ads. And now George Rohack, and for those of you guys who don't know, if you're in the web comic scene, he actually is kind of a big deal because he was the guy who was managing Homestuck, and he also had Bread Pig, and he helped a lot of webcomics creators early on do crowdfunders. So he's always been pretty good with the business side of things, right? So he's calling it out like, what the hell? So they put this ad up in the subway. Comics are literature's fun side hustle. That's not, here's the problem. It's not completely untrue.
It's not. For most people, it is a side hustle.
So let me tell you a story. During peak Scholastic, during the Raina Telgemeier era of Scholastic, when Scholastic was selling a shit ton of books, they're still selling a lot of books, Dogman stuff now. But when they're selling a lot of graphic novels, I had conversations with people who knew people at Scholastic, and they said Scholastic actually hates comics. Not the
it was actually from somebody at Scholastic.
Right.
That's another story, yeah.
Yeah, They said Scholastic, the proper, doesn't like graphics. They think that it's a waste of time. They think that it's lowbrow. And this has come from Scholastic that makes a bunch of...
Now, understand, too, like Dogman and stuff's considered a hybrid. It's not exactly the same thing.
Yeah, they categorize them differently. Like Diary of a Wimpy Kid is going to get more, and that's not Scholastic, it's Abrams, but they're going to get more of a pass because there's some reading involved, like prose
it's
involved.
Considered a hybrid.
A hybrid, but straight up graphic novels, apparently Scholastic didn't like them for a number of reasons. They thought that
Supposedly
comics...
they didn't sell.
They don't... Well, okay.
Except for Raina Telgemeier and a lot of librarians.
Raina Telgemeier books do sell well, but even then, the best-selling graphics comics don't sell anywhere near what a lot of other prose books sell.
But they also
they cost more.
Push the hell out of them in the book orders and book fairs, too.
So, I mean, it's not completely untrue because comics have been fighting to be taken seriously for a while.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But like a lot of people, it is a side hustle. Like they work their day job. And honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to do comics for a living,
very rich,
especially if they're webcomics. Yeah, either have a spouse who has a really good job. Which a lot of them did. A lot of the ones that were full-timers, they didn't mention the fact that their spouse was paying for everything. Or you're going to want to probably have a job while you're doing them. It's just the way it is. Neon worked, oh my God, he would work a full-time job, and we had little kids at the time, and you come home and you would do the comics, and you're talking like 14 to 15 hours a page, and sometimes we did 3 pages a week. Did not sleep more than a few hours a day. Was not a healthy situation.
No, it was not a healthy situation.
And we were one of the ones doing pretty well, all things considered.
But even then, like, if we didn't have other, like, just putting, imagine that, putting a free comic book out there doesn't pay the bills. But just putting the comic up there, depending on the ad revenue and the tips and all that stuff, it just doesn't work. You got to have something else going on.
So, webcomics is already a hard sell. Anyway, it is a side hustle for most people. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's kind of insulting, and it shouldn't be. The flip side of it is that there's a lot of people who get really offended by this because they think that I don't know. We ran into this before. We've seen it with different things. When there be something coming out that so-and-so's terms of service has changed and that they were worried that they might take some of their ownership, they would have a shit fit. And the people that would have the biggest shit fit were the people who had very little traffic and weren't the ones they were talking about anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and we've seen this time and time again. I almost tweeted and then I didn't. I was like, no. I was gonna say that, webcomics people get pissed off about just about anything.
It's true though,
and a lot of times it is.
We've been around for a long time.
Yeah,
it's true.
So many. I mean, when Tapastic came in,
I was thinking about that.
And their terms of service were basically like they could use your stuff for promotional. I think they were talking about like screenshots.
And I
think
they wanted first rights of refusal.
Yeah, but they were going to compensate you. But then people took that to mean because they didn't understand the legalese. They took it to mean that they were going to steal their
they could just
IP,
take their stuff.
And that's not what was going on.
A lot of people that were getting the most angry are people that, no offense, weren't going to have their stuff stolen to begin with.
Yes.
Also, you have to understand places like Webtoons and Tapastic, they actually are paying for your hosting.
Yes.
Okay? Hosting is not cheap, especially if you have a very popular comic. At one point, how much were we paying a month in hosting?
Just for Shadowbinders, when we had, we were part of, we were hosting on Keenspot for a while, and then when we went to our own, I think, $300 to $600 a month on
at
average.
Least. I know we were
just to host the comic.
Right. Yeah. So hosting costs money. So when you have these big ones that everybody knows and talks about with Webtoons or Tapastic, they basically are bringing in the money that's paying for everybody else to sit there and not get charged to have their comics. Yes, Webtoons gets money on your comic being there and your views, but you're all together, you might be equal to one of their big ones.
Yeah.
And they're paying for you to be there even if you don't bring anything. And then people get mad oh, they might take something from me. How dare they? And it's but you're getting free hosting and
Yeah, it's like YouTube. I mean, people got really pissed off when YouTube made their monetization a lot more strict. And I get that, especially if you were used to making some money on YouTube. All of a sudden, you went from making some money to no money. But the flip side is video hosting is some of the most expensive on the internet. And from YouTube's point of view, it's like there's a whole lot of stuff out there not making money. And if we
they're still paying for it.
Yeah, they're still paying for it. So if we throw some ads on it or PSAs or whatever, maybe they can at least pay for themselves. You know,
Right.
it's not really
That's
worth
kind of
it.
what Webtoon Tapostic did.
Right, right.
Tapas now. I'm sorry, it was Tapastic before. And that's what they were thinking too. So anyway, they put this ad up. It was really poor choice of words. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it's not completely wrong. For some people, it's a full-time job. For a lot of people, it is a side hustle. People lost their shit because they found it offensive. And I get it, too, because as somebody who's been in webcomics for years, we were constantly dunked on by the mainstream, calling people, like, they constantly looked their nose down. I remember when Mark Waid was going to do Thrill Bent, people were like, oh, finally someone's taking us seriously, and all of this crap. And we kept saying, no, the thing is, they're coming into the space because they think there's money here. Mm-hmm. So while you think it's legitimizing you, they're coming in to take it over. And that's what happened on Webtoons. They went and hired a Marvel guy, got all these Marvel people deals.
Yes.
They got paid to put these comics on there.
Yes.
Comics performed worse shit.
Because that Marvel style comics, American Western style comics, you know, with the traditional superhero style art, does not appeal to the Webtoon audience.
Not usually, no.
Not usually. That's why when they brought Batman over, they were smart and they did a more manga style Batman
So
comic.
they had the mainstream, just basically they wanted, because they found out Webtoons was getting movie deals.
Yep.
And they found out Webtoons was paying.
Yep.
So they pushed basically all the people that did all the sweat equity and making sure that Webtoons got built up to the platform of size that it became. A couple of them got to be promoted in and got deals. But most of them didn't, and instead they went outside and brought Marvel people in. And us saying that got us a lot of shit from Webtoon.
Yeah, they were trying to
Disney, and they were writing you on the phone.
This literally happened. And here's a weird thing. Like, we would have actually considered, taking our comics to Webtoon first if they had cut us a deal. We do have an agent. You can reach out to her. But we were actually in Florida at the time, and I had their PR person frantically, like, we couldn't get a hold of a person to save our lives.
Yeah, we kept trying to talk to them at Webtoon.
You know, and we were trying to talk to them about different stuff, and we couldn't. And we were actually getting, paid something, but not exclusive. And this person wrote after we put our video up and was like flipping out, like, oh my God, here's the truth or whatever from our point of view. And it's like, wow, you guys can write pretty damn quick and you can track us down, because they actually tracked me down personally on Facebook. Mm-hmm. It's like, you can write us pretty damn quick when you think that we're giving you a PR black eye, and we weren't. We actually were.
It was the truth too.
Yeah, it was the truth, and they were flipping out about that, and I'm like, well, now, I mean, we're actually,
they give themselves their own black eye. Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah. So in this case, though, again, this is the audience they courted. They have spent years trying to get people from Twitter and Tumblr to bring their comics to Webtoon to put more content, to get more page views. And of course, they're going to turn on them. Of course they are. So they had to put this apology up for that ad. To every creator in our community today, we apologize. We want the world to know that comics are for everyone, that everyone who loves great stories in any format will also love your comics. But our ad copy missed that mark. I guarantee you somebody at Webtoon was like, oh, what the fuck now? And because they're probably used to dealing with these people, what the fuck
It does
now?
come across side hustle, but the thing is, for a lot of people, that's true.
We live and breathe comics every day. They aren't a side hustle, a second chance, or an afterthought. They are what we live for.
What makes
the profitable ones.
Because especially for, it is a side hustle for a lot of people. But what gets me is somebody who's been part of this for like years. I can see why people that have been doing it long term got mad, because it's been years of being told that you're subpar. And some people are, and some people are better. A lot of people are better than the mainstream that you're seeing. And you get told that for years, and you fight to be legitimized. You finally get Webtoons started to be legitimized, and then they're like, yeah, side hustle. You're you're like the ugly stepchild we keep in the closet and bring out, occasionally when somebody wants to read the ugly stepchild,
Bring out your comics. Bring out your comics. Creators of the foundation of Webtoon, we are as passionate about your stories as you are and fully appreciate the time and effort put into your comics. We'll get these updated as soon as possible and review all feedback bullshit. Here's the thing. Only like the top 1%. It's just like YouTube. The top 1% of people on YouTube make money. And that's the truth. And they're going to pay more attention to the people that make money because you're making them money. It's that low.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like 1 to 3% of people on you. Now, realize there is a shit ton of shit on YouTube, but because of the monetization rules now, it's harder to get, you know. But and out of those, only a percentage make what would be considered a decent living. And it's the same with Webtoon. Like most of the creators that are making bank, other than Lore Olympus, most of them are Korean creators, you know, Tower of God.
Well, there's a few that are exceptions, but yeah.
A few. But, I mean, and it also depends on what your definition of a living is. Some people, if they're single and they don't live in the city or whatever, they can live on $2,000 or $3,000 a month, you know, and they might be getting that in Patreon or whatever. Other people, it's like, you know, like Tower of God, I know they're making ridiculous money. Lore Olympus, she's got a book deal and a TV deal and all this other stuff, and she's making ridiculous money. But yeah, the reality is they're going to put more into those comics because they can actually take them somewhere and get them developed. They can't develop your...
Which is why the mainstream tried to get in there.
Which is why the mainstream tried to take over Webtoon.
So anyway, so they just pissed everybody off.
So here's some of the feedback. Comics are not a fun side hustle. They're an entire storytelling medium, a career for some people, but not everybody. They're equal to literature, movies, etc. I get you're trying to bring in new demographics, but there are so many ways to do it without putting comics and their creators down.
That's true, but I will say the problem that we've talked about it for years is the shrinking comics pie. That if you have a pie as a representation of all the people that would read comics, you know, web comics was this tiny, tiny, tiny subsection of that pie, and they had to find a way to make the pie bigger, but it kept shrinking.
I think they're trying to be hip.
That's what they're trying to do.
Like, hey. You know, I know you're into real books, but try some of our fake books on Webtoons. Yeah, looking for agent. There we go. Side hustle.
We saved you some time. Agents aren't always what they're cracked up to be for comics. Trust me.
Agents will come to you if you have something that's already successful.
Basically, they want you to already have a deal or already have gotten contacts, and then if you've already done it, saves them hassle and they can step in and take a cut. They love that.
They talked about, we were actually going to do a video on it, and then we didn't, that they're doing a $50,000 contest to become the
yes, I forgot about that.
Webtoon Originals creator and more. So it's, I don't know, guys.
We see both sides of this. We
can see both sides.
Truly do see both sides because I get why, I mean, I can see why it's completely offensive to people, especially if you've known the struggles webcomics have gone through to be legitimized. I personally can see why people would be offended. But I'm also like, for a lot of people, it is a side hustle. So, you know.
It is. I mean, I don't know what to...
I can see both sides of this one.
Yeah, I can't do it. And again, this is coming from people who made a full-time living. It was hard, but we did it predominantly with webcomics and associated merchandise and a shit ton of shows.
Well, some of these other ones aren't too bad. You think 2D crushes are still crushes? Yeah, hey, I can get that. What's this one? Your favorite streaming platforms love us.
Well, it's true because they're going to Netflix.
That one's not bad. They keep using Lore Olympus and everything, though. I mean, I agree with those ones. You know, those ones aren't bad, but then the side hustle one's one they're pissed about.
Yeah, they're basically like, hey, give comics a chance. Yeah. It's
I also can tell you from experience, there are a lot of creators that get super offended about stuff, and it's like I'm not trying to be mean. It sounds like I'm being mean, and I'm not trying to be, but. When they're changing terms of service, it's not you they're thinking of.
Yeah.
When they're doing something like this, it's not necessarily you they're thinking of.
No, this is their end game.
And then we have BTS.
And then we have lots of BTS. Anyway, so yeah, there we go, guys. That's what comics people are mad about. And again, this is one where we do see both sides of it, but just so you know, the vast majority of people that do Webtoon are not worth the money to them. It's a very, very small percentage, and those are the people they're going to focus on. And I'm sorry you had to find out this way. We going to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Now he's just tasty, delicious, rotten flesh meat, which I can consume. Don't read into it too much.
Just like our museum, the cafe's open and Brewster is eager to serve. I don't think this was in the show. Run. Oh, you got splatted.
Oh,
she was begging and you kicked her in the face.
I don't care.
Hey guys, Squid King here, and today we're in a...
Not girl boss at all. She is not a material girl.
She is not. Oh, it's Christmas time here in your mom. Nobody wants to join your mom.
What?
Like, I can't even cook kid cuisine right. I would last about 2 minutes with Gordon Ramsay.
What? Where is he?
He's hiding. He's hiding from you.
Better.
Oh my God, you got the axe.
Walker, does this look like Steven Universe? Let me punch him. Well, I'm just here for the wax. Right where you belong.
Get in the dirt.
Well, that was a combination of events I probably shouldn't have put together. Anyways, let's open this bottle too.
Chica Pinata. Is that official?
Oh, no.
There's a bootleg.
Hello. I'm sorry.
Hey guys, it's Diamond Tool.
Let's make a farm.
Like and subscribe and buy my merch.
I mean, while you're here, you guys should like really like and subscribe and buy our merch, all of which we have.
That is true. You can't run them carrying trash. You can get away with one F-bomb per PG-13 movie.
I wish I'd known that sooner.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna wrap this effer up.
Yes.